It has been a very odd year in politics, to say the
Yes.
least. Very odd. As someone
Mhm.
who's a history major and has been watching presidential politics since Carter and Ford, I think I can fairly say that. Well, all of a sudden, all hell has broken loose amongst pro wrestling fans because we had Hulk Hogan at the RNC doing a speech, which ignited a lot of people. People got a kick out of that. Some people didn't. They're banging on Hulk Hogan. But then we had a conflict between Dave Bautista and Undertaker in competing ads and issues and so on. As Dave Bautista did a piece for the Jimmy Kimmel show where he threw a lot of insults at Donald Trump, saying he wasn't a tough guy and all this kind of stuff. And pretty much just a lot of name calling in there more than anything else. And then The Undertaker is going to be having Donald Trump on his podcast as a guest. And it looks like our good buddy Kane as well is going to be involved in that. Of course, in real life, Glenn Jacobs is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. He is a Republican. We also had CM Punk weighing in again. He had done an Instagram post saying free Palestine. And now on the CFFC 137 fighting card, where he's a color commentator, they started talking politics a little bit. And he said, I'm CM Punk and I wish we would stop genocide. All right, Coach. What, just generally first, what do you think of this? Now, there's four pretty big names in the pro wrestling world, only one of them active, getting into the political arena on this. How are you feeling about just in general, if that's a good idea or not?
Well, everyone I've always talked to when I was trying to make my way into this business is never talk about religion and never talk about politics. But this is 2024, and I think The Undertaker and Batista, I think they're working it. I think Undertaker wants a lot of views for his show. I think CM Punk is authentic. He's never been shy to share his words, and obviously Kane's a Republican mayor. So will it alienate some fans? Maybe. But we're in a world right now where people are passionate, and wrestling is a passionate industry. And the fans of The Undertaker and Batista, if they tend to side with their political views, I think it'll only enhance their pocketbooks and enhance their viewership.
Yeah, it's hard to not get it. I mean, this has been a very intense election period, and I think a lot of people feel on both sides that there's a lot on the line more than maybe a lot recent presidential elections. So there's a lot of passion on this right now. But Phil, you just got back in here. We're just talking about The Undertaker and Batista doing their thing and Hulk Hogan and CM Punk. Just in general, what are your thoughts about everybody getting involved in politics in this season? Oh, we gotta. Hang on, I'll get you.
It's always a bit of a sticky wicket, right?
Yeah.
Because you are in front of a camera, you're an entertainer, people know you for the persona you carry. And so, is it your persona carrying it? Is it your character? Is it you as a person? Because, the Rock back in, I want to say it was 2000, but I might be wrong about that year. Maybe it was 2004. Spoke at the Republican National Convention, but he's very democratic. And so you risk a little bit of alienating part of your own audience that you've developed with your brand by aligning anyway politically. So it's always a danger. It's always a risk. I'm not saying people should not say with the passion that they have, this is who I support, this is what I believe, this is what I value. But then the other side of that is the risk of public backlash. And that's unfortunate what I think some people are going to experience.
Now, I think there's a big difference between, say, Undertaker, Batista, Hogan, who aren't active as in professional wrestling right now, as opposed to Punk, who is active. And it, is he bulletproof from this stuff? Or, do you think that he is alienating fans? Do you think they, the cult of personality plays and nobody cares? Coach.
I think that it'll definitely, if it gets to be a certain point, I think TKO will step in and say something. I think they're not afraid to rein him in. Go ahead, Phil. Looks okay. You know, it's a corporation, so if it's going to hurt TKO's bottom line, they're going to say something to Punk. Obviously, he made the comment on social media. Maybe nobody said anything to him. Now he says something at this MMA fight. We could see the rhetoric start to get toned down.
Yeah, because he did also, make a couple political stances on AEW TV as well. Looks like we lost Phil for a little bit, so we'll get Phil back in a while. But he did do some things on TV as well. If you remember when he was down in Texas and he wore an abortion rights shirt, and we also had him. There was I think it was a trans rights thing that he did at AEW All In 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's, you got to wonder. Because WWE has really tried to stay away from that stuff. I mean, even though the McMahons, when they were running it, are Republicans, man, they kept anything that was slightly political very generic. So they didn't mess around with it at all. I'm curious to see what kind of backlash is going to get. And Coach, it was funny too, because I saw a post this morning and that about this whole thing with Undertaker and Batista, and it was really split. It was and actually leaning a little bit more towards the Undertaker side. Somebody just put up a post that said, who you support, Undertaker or Batista, and it looked like more of the responses were going towards the Undertaker. But I just think it's very difficult, and it's a tough line for these guys to walk when they're, you're trying to entertain everybody. And, we've seen in Hollywood a lot too, that when people have taken stances in Hollywood, it kind of alienate, and they're a little crazy about it. They alienate their fans. So I don't know. I think it just goes to show how passionate everybody is about this election right now. It's splitting a lot of people.
I think a lot of people, even though they love their wrestlers, I think that this is such a big election that people aren't going to look at, entertainment figures, because they're not, they're great people, but they don't know the X's and O's of policy of this, that, and the other. So to make an educated decision, I would say you do some reading yourself. Don't just take the Undertaker's word for it. Don't take Batista's word for it. Do your own research. I support those guys, but this is a big election. And either way, Republican, Democrat, get out and vote.
Do you think that they actually, these people actually have influence? When Hulk Hogan went there to the RNC, do you think that made people change their mind, or someone that was undecided go and when Undertaker says, Batista said, do you think that they really do have legitimate influence?
I do. Come at me at 18, 19, 20, 21. If Ric Flair told the world vote for Bill Clinton or vote for George Bush Sr., I would have voted it right away. Wow. Wrestling fans are very passionate. They live in the skin of the wrestlers. They love to hear about the personal behind the scenes and how the sausage is made. So I do think they have some influence, and you see the politicians reaching out to entertainers. I mean, President Trump was on Theo Vaughn. Kamala Harris this week was on Charlemagne the God. They look to the influencers and unfortunately the Twitter and the Instagram influencers to try to push the message across, because there are a lot of people that don't have the time and really don't even want to get involved in politics. So if they're who they love, tell them to vote for this person. It's just an easy way to not have to think about it.
No, I just hope we don't have any fights in the stands over the next couple of weeks.
No.
But it's fascinating to me because while I've seen celebrities endorsing candidates over the years, I can't remember it ever bleeding into the pro wrestling world like this. So this is going to be fascinating. And it'll be fun to see what the Undertaker does with Donald Trump on his podcast when that interview happens. I'll listen. Yeah, I'm going to listen to it. I mean, it's going to definitely get him some views, that's for sure. But we'll find out how all that turns out. It is going to be something else, to say the least. Hi, pro wrestling fans. Mark Hoke here. I'd really appreciate it if you would take a moment to join the Mark Hoke Show family, and please click on the subscribe button below. Also, please stick around and check out the incredible sponsor of this video. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on the Mark Hoke Show YouTube channel. Want a matching bonus up to $500 and have fun betting on pro wrestling plus all your favorite sports and entertainment events? Then you need to check out betonline.ag. Bet on all the top wrestling events, plus you can get a free 50% matching bonus up to $1,000 on your initial deposit. Just go to markhokeshow.com, click on the betonline.ag link, and use sign-up code BOL1000 to get in on the action today and receive your 50% matching bonus. So get in on all the betting excitement. Sign up right now on markhokeshow.com with betonline.ag.